my name is Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and liked it, then subscribe, bell notification, give the video a thumbs up. So last month, I remember in my haul video, I said something like, in September, actually I had a very good month. I don't know that I really bought anything that I wasn't planning on buying. And I kept it to 6, which, if you've ever been on any of my other haul videos, that's a very good month for me. And I'm hoping I can keep it actually even lower in October. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really impulse buy anything this month, but to be fair, I put my Elfster list together now, and I'm not buying anything that is on that list. I think I have the Burning Gods pre-ordered for November and the Ever Tilting World, and I think that's all for November and December of books that I'm interested in. I may get these Violet Delights. I haven't seen what the finished copy looks like, and I haven't really actually heard any ARC reviews from people I know, so that's a maybe, but that's on my Elfster list, so I won't be buying that until the early new year if I do buy it. Also, I'm filming this on November 1st, and I bought the Selena Gomez's Rare Beauty new eyeshadow palette. It's their holiday collection, and I just bought it last week, and it's hella cute. And I finally tried the purple, and this would have been such a good one to wear yesterday for Halloween. It's like a black base with purple glitters in it. Oh, it's awesome. I'm kind of pissed at myself, so I have to just not use it up until next Halloween, I guess. So first off, I got my UK copy of Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow. This is one that I had pre-ordered for months. I think I pre-ordered this in January, because it was originally supposed to come out, I want to say in March, and then it got pushed. This is the UK copy. I have my North American copy ordered through Owlcrate, so I'm just waiting for that to come in. And I have the finished copies of books 1 and 2 in this series in the mail. They just haven't gotten to me yet. So I basically have just made a new rule that every time someone sends something remotely bigoted towards Jessica Townsend and she says something about it on Twitter, I buy a new copy. So these are the end pages. Then this is the UK Underdust jacket. Everything that's gold is foil gold. The UK designers Orion and just knocks this book series out of the park. And the end pages. This is the Waterstones edition. They don't all come with this orange. And I think Goldsboro had a green sprayed edge version. I don't know if either of them are still available. I'm sorry. But this is book 3 in the Nevermore series. Basically, I'm in the middle of reading it right now because I said it's the first book I'm reading this month for sure. But certain species in the Nevermore world are becoming susceptible to a virus and they can't figure out how to stop it. And a bunch of bigots start targeting people. Can you see some similarities to our world? It's kind of creepy that this book was written before the pandemic. Yeah, it's the disease, once people gets it, leaves people hollow. So hollow pox, like chicken pox, right? So I'm reading it right now. It's amazing. And this is the UK copy. Highly recommend, if you can only buy one, get the UK copies over the North American ones. They're just leaps and bounds ahead. I also managed to pick up an ARC for Master of One by Jada Jones and Danielle Bennett. This comes out in November. I'm super excited to be reading it in the month of November as well. I just know there's supposed to be some queer rep, a variety of queer rep from what I've heard. Welcome to the Queen City, a terrible place to live, an excellent place to die. Rags is a talented thief, but stealing relics from the Fae, that's something else entirely, especially when the relic he's after turns out to be a Fae himself, a distractingly handsome, annoyingly perfect ancient Fae prince called Shining Talon. Good thing Rags can think on his toes because it's only going to get stranger from there. I have not heard a single review about it, so hopefully I love it though. I think from the sounds of it, there's a bunch of people super hyped for this book. Also, the TBR and Beyond book tour is doing a book tour for this one, so follow the TBR and Beyond book tour company socials for this. I am so excited that my bookstore, this was kind of an impulse buy. I was super interested for months. I just didn't know what the finished copy looked like. And then I was like, oh, if my bookstore has it, then I'll grab it. And they had it in stock. I'm so excited. So I picked up Plain Bad Heroines by Emily Danforth. I have not read anything by this author before, but she has a couple different works out that have a fair amount of reviews. I've seen the covers in a couple different places. The Miseducation of Cameron also became a film, if I remember correctly, too. So I just know it's supposed to be set in a gothic boarding school, and as always happens when something is set in a gothic boarding school, I'm gonna assume someone dies or there's witchcraft involved or something. I don't know. It's gonna be, I'm gonna read it in the next couple days. So, oh, this is the end page there. And then the under dust jacket is just red. And then there's the spine. I picked up a copy of Maya and the Rising Dark by Raina Barron. This is one I've been interested in, but I didn't know what it looked like in person, and my bookstore had it in person, and then I splurged a little bit this month, so I picked up Maya and the Rising Dark. It's all gloss, and then the text is lifted gold as well, but it's set in a world where color bleeds, like, from the world. It's the author's middle grade debut, and I've read Kingdom of Souls. I really enjoyed that book, and I'm excited for the sequel, so I love that we're getting authors going into YA and then bumping down to middle grade, and I just seem to really enjoy it, and yeah. I caught up basically my collection of the Keeper of the Lost City series, so I had books 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, I think it was, so I picked up book number 3, Everblaze. They had a sale on Indigo, so it cost me $8, I think it was, which you're not gonna find, even on Book Outlets, you're not gonna find it for less in Canada. And then I also, when I kind of did a spree shop for myself, they had both books 7 and 8 in paperback at the store, so I grabbed them. So this is 7 and this is 8, so now I have all that are out, and now I can kind of blow through the series. Hopefully, I'm thinking January is my goal for this one, to catch up. I've read book 1, I think I read book 2, or if not, either way, I plan on January, as these are going to go on that TBR. On that same kind of impulse trip, I had seen this book actually a few days before, and I've never seen my last name in a book title, so I kind of freaked out when I saw this. The Second Best Haunted Hotel on Mercer Street, by Corey Putman Oakes and illustrated by Jane Picca. It's printed on the hardcover here. It's so cute. I really like the haunted middle grade stuff. That seems to be kind of a sweet spot for me. I really like the Curiosity House, really like the Winter House, all those kind of like just weird hotels, weird schools, that kind of stuff. So we had it in stock, so I was like, screw it, just buy it. So I got it. The illustrations are really fun. I also picked up Barren Grounds by David Robertson. I've been curious about this. He's an Indigenous author. I thought it was a graphic novel for some reason. No, it's a traditional novel, middle grade. I read something by him before. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but it's an Indigenous author, and the book sales, part of the money goes towards Indigenous communities. So, you know, why not? So the underdust jacket is this like maroony wine color, and then silver spine. And Morgan and Eli, 2 Indigenous children forced away from their families and communities, are brought together in a foster home in Winnipeg, Manitoba. If you don't know, Winnipeg, Manitoba is like a giant hub. There's a big history with like Red River Rising and all that stuff in the prairies, and Winnipeg is this giant hub with a lot of issues, but there's a ton of urban Indigenous people in that city specifically. It's like kind of notorious in Canada for having such a giant population of Indigenous people. They each feel disconnected from their culture and from each other, and they struggle to fit in school at their new home until they find a secret place walled off in an unfinished attic bedroom. A portal opens to another reality, Aski bringing them onto the frozen barren grounds where they meet Oshek Fisher, the only hunter supporting his starving community. Misiwa Oshek welcomes the human children, teaching them traditional ways to survive. It sounded kind of like an Indigenous Narnia that, I don't know, it just kind of piqued my interest, and I would highly recommend giving it a go to. It's not super big either, so. My wonderful friend Jennifer sent me one of my Christmas gifts a little early, a copy of The Burning Kingdoms by Sally Green. This is book 3 in the Smoke Thieves trilogy. I don't own book 2, but I do have an arc of it, so, well, I don't own a finished copy of book 2. But I am hoping in December to do a reread of book 1, read book 2, and then read book 3. And that'll be another, I just feel like I've gotten so much stuff like completed this year, you know what I mean? So if I can do that for this series too, praise be. The underdust jacket is like a foresty green, and the spine is gold. I picked up Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. I keep wanting to say Olivia Jade. I'm excited about this. We're reading this in the TBR and Beyond group in November for contemporary group read. All I know is that there's like I think it's her, she writes fan fiction for this series and ends up at a Comic-Con and then meets whatever the fandom that she's a part of, like one of the actors of the proper show or something like that, and there's a romance. I've just been hearing a lot of positive things about it. The main character is also a plus-size female, which is great, and I don't know, it sounded a little bit like, I'm trying to remember what this book was. I read a book a couple years ago by this, like, I think it was an Australian author, and it's heavily told through, like, instant messages and texts, and I think it was, like, kind of based around a fandom, so it kind of reminded me of that. Cannot for the life of me remember what it was called, but I'm curious about this, and just a lot of praise, and it's nice to see plus-size women on covers as well. I think I saw If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy is supposed to come out next year, too, and it's a Disney adult Cinderella retelling where the main character, Cinderella, this main Cinderella character, is also plus size and weirdly looks like one of my coworkers, so I'm excited for that one too. Also, my friend Jennifer bought me this mug. It says, "Let's keep the dumb fuckery to a minimum today," and it's a giant mug. I also picked up the North American copy of The First Sister by Lyndon Lewis. I took a jump. I'm reading this month, but I also own the UK copy of it, which does look different. Both of them are beautiful. I was just excited that they actually did some special material on the cover of this one. So the under dust jacket, nothing special on there. The spine is glossy black, but I really love the actual cover. It's beautiful. This was probably one that I impulse bought this month, if any of them really. The Other Side of the Sky by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. I love Amy Kaufman's stuff for the most part. The Icewind series, or Elementals trilogy, the middle grade, is so freaking cute. I haven't read Battleborn yet. I'm waiting to get a copy of it, but it's so cute. I love Illuminate. Didn't love Aurora Rising, but that's fine. I have not actually read these two authors' other series that they did together, though, even though it's supposed to be becoming a TV show, I think. So that's why I was just hesitant. And then I just haven't heard anything from anyone who's read it. I also read Amy Kaufman's, is it Undying? Undead? She wrote another book with another author. I think I read the first one. Unearthed? Is that it? I think I enjoyed it. And then she has another book coming out, I think in January, with Ryan Grodin. And if you don't know, big fan of Ryan Grodin here. So I'm excited for that one. So I figured this one's so pretty. Like, it's so pretty. So I have it. I have no idea when I'm going to read it, but it's all like metallic-y material. So it works with the sci-fi space elements and everything. The spine is also very pretty. I don't know if it'll show because of the reflection on the camera, but it's very pretty. And then the under dust jacket is this dark blue, and the spine is silver. If there's any publisher out there that I never have to worry about putting like the value into buying their physical books, it's Wednesday Books, always. So I picked up Hush. I've been curious about this. It sounds like traditional YA, which I don't have an issue with. I just have to know that going into it so I can be like in the mood for that. But I'm curious because it's The Author by Dylan Farrow. So this is Dylan Farrow's first work. If you don't know who Dylan Farrow is, Google it. She's had an interesting life, I'll say that for sure. I just know this is her debut work, the cover, all the gold. There's also this like face thing on the side of the H is really cool. I think there's supposed to be an illness. I could be totally wrong. This is the end pages. Wednesday Books just knocks it out of the park always. And then the under dust jacket is that blue foiled germ. I don't know what it is. And then the spine is blue there too. They use magic to silence the world in the land of the Montaigne. Language is literal magic to the select few who possess the gift of telling. This power is reserved for the bards, a group that has almost always been men. Who will break the hush? 17-year-old Shay has lived her entire life in awe of the bards and fear of the blot, a deadly disease spread by ink, which killed her brother and made her family outcasts. When tragedy strikes again close to home, Shay convinced the bards are behind the madness. In the silence, the chaos is growing. With the heart set on justice, Shay journeys to unlock the truth, which may be closer than she thinks. Just listen. I'm curious about this. It sounds like a book that I probably shouldn't read during a pandemic, but after the pandemic, I'll probably be all over this. Or if, like, I'm convinced that the end of the world is happening. Which, honestly, I'm not totally convinced that's wrong, right? I got my copy of The Archive of the Forgotten by A.J. Hackwith. This has been pre-ordered for months. I read it, like, 2 days after I got it. It is the sequel to The Library of the Unwritten. absolutely loved both of the books, actually. They're fun, quick reads, especially if you're a fan of books about books, books with libraries, books with museums, anything about books in, like, the literary world, but in, like, a fictional sense, like, not a book about the history of books. Though I have taken a course on that. It was actually hella interesting, but that's not for everyone. Anyways, The Archive of the Forgotten, I think it only came out in paperback. That's what I have the first one in anyways either. And I'm excited. I'm assuming, I have an inkling that the third book is going to be like the museum of whatever. So approximately 2 weeks after I was supposed to have a review for this book up, my arc for Chasing Starlight finally came in. I have since read it. I read it pretty quickly after I got it. I think I got this in late September, but I think I had already posted my haul video for the month, which... that's fine. So I got an arc. I think it was through the TBR and Beyond book tours. I think it was probably just like delays, either because of publishing having to go from the US to the Canadian, or like delays at borders. Whatever the reason being, I did finally read it. It's amazing. Terry Bailey Black is like just on my instant read author list now. Especially after, I think Girl at the Grave was a bit better. But I think it's just because it leans more into this like gothic-y, like creepy mystery, and I was also just surprised how good it was as a debut work. This was like, she's an established author. Hollywood is not a setting that I always will love, because I feel like I'm unique. I'm not someone who necessarily cares a ton about like the back-end production stuff of Hollywood, and I'm more like, I know that there's this all like Hollywood glamour, but I'm like, didn't y'all make like the girl who played Dorothy, like, addicted to drugs? Like, my brain immediately goes to that. Like, there's so many, and the whole, like, Harvey Weinstein shit and everything. So, I think I just preferred the setting of Girl at the Grave, but this book was by no means bad. It was fantastic. It was one of the best books that I read in the month of October. Our main character is the granddaughter of kind of a washed-up Hollywood star. A lot of things happen in the past to lead to where her whole family is personality-wise, and her trash of an aunt gets married to this new guy who is like, yeah, I don't like your niece, like, let's get rid of that. So she ships her off to Hollywood to live with her grandfather. The grandfather's he's a little, I don't know what the word for him is, but she goes and there's a whole murder mystery, in addition to other mysteries. I have been ever so curious about this book since I heard it was being translated. I finally picked up a copy of A Hero Born by Jin Young. I don't know if that's how you say it properly. So this was originally written in, I think it was Mandarin. And there's been a couple attempts at translations over the years. None of them have been apparently particularly good, but they apparently put a lot of time and effort into this one. And I think I read somewhere that it's like 10 volumes or some giant number. And I don't know how Mandarin translates into English in terms of like volume. Like, does 10 words in English equal 5 in Mandarin, or 20? Like, I don't totally know. Because we have different alphabets. So I have been like, I'll wait and see what people think, and I've heard nothing. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'll wait and like give it some time and think about it, and like once the second book comes out, I'll take a look. Bitch, the third one's already out, and I was like, what? What's happening? Like, all 3 are at my bookstore. What's happening? So finally said, screw it, I'll buy it. I'm nervous because translated works can be not great, but it just has so much praise, and like it's like had like a long, well-known, like, existence. Like, it hasn't kind of faded. It sounds like kind of like the popularity level of like our Lord of the Rings, and it's kind of always been up there, and like it never seems to go away in popularity. So I'm very curious about this. I also picked up a copy of The Forgotten Kingdom by Sing Pike. This is the sequel to The Lost Queen. I read it already in October. It was fantastic. I think I liked it more than book 1. Pretty rare occurrence for me, I think, honestly, in series. And I think it only came out in paperback too. So the gold stuff is all either foiled or shiny, whatever, and it's really good. I think the first book too, maybe it's because it was just building up so much of the world and information and everything. This book flew by a lot faster than the other book, and we got a lot more different perspectives, different perspectives, POVs in here than we did in the first book, and that maybe helped it flow a little bit better. So I can't really say anything about the plot because it's a sequel, but I read it and loved it, and I suggest this one to anyone who likes the Outlander series. Easily my favorite book of the month, Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, and I also picked it up this month. I had it pre-ordered. I don't know what texture they used. Maybe it's like the glittery metallic base. I don't know, but the gold and orange isn't foiled, and I'm kind of glad after a while looking at it they didn't, because there's orange and yellows in here, which I don't think would have translated on foil. It's so pretty though. It's start of a new series. Trying to explain this book. Oh boy. There's a couple different kind of characters who switch around, but the main character is this, how do I explain her? She ends up captaining a ship after someone gets her out of jail, which is a interesting story in itself. And she's supposed to deliver someone from point A to point B, and that's kind of all the information she's given, and she probably she would have appreciated being given more information about this entire thing. So just go read the summary on Goodreads. It's kind of it. It's a fantastic read. So in the end, I loved this book. I went unaware of that there was some controversy around Rebecca Roanhorse as an author, but a lot of it does seem very gatekeepy culture-y, which I'm a white person, but I listen a lot in a lot of part of my jobs to Indigenous people in interagency meetings and all that stuff, and there's a lot of issues that people, especially in this area, are really annoyed with that sort of stuff, that they don't like that that we don't have secluded powwows. The powwows are for everyone to come. If you have a question, ask me. If you don't understand something, ask me. I'm going to say at the beginning of something, if I don't want it recorded, I'm not just going to get angry at you, right? That I have a friend who lives in southern Alberta on a reserve, and there are white people that live on the reserve, and that they're just been adopted into the community because it's the way of life that they've enjoyed. That there's a lot of issues on some Indigenous communities, but there's a lot of community in that, and that can be a saving grace for a lot of people. So there's some communities that are so open and welcoming to people and just want to share everything. And then there's some who are not, and then there's some who are tribally enrolled and some who are not. It's this whole complicated mess. Anyways, it's very pretty. The underdust jacket is black, and then the spine is gold. I also picked up The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. I read the author's book, The 10,000 Doors of January, and absolutely loved that book. The underdust jacket is red with this cream spine and then red foil text. The cover is so pretty. I do wish they would have lifted the crest. I feel like that's a thing for crests. I honestly don't remember the summary of this book. I know I read it and I was so excited when the cover got revealed and everything. I just know I'm gonna read it when I want to read a literarily a book that's very beautifully written. In 1893, there is no such thing as witches. There used to be in the wild dark days before the burnings began, but now witching is nothing but tidy charms and nursery rhymes. If the modern woman wants any measures of power, she must find it at the ballot box. But when the Eastwood sisters, James Juniper, Agnes Amaranth, and Beatrice Belladonna, ooh, that's a name, Beatrice Belladonna, join the suffragists in New Salem, they begin to pursue the forgotten words in ways that might turn the women's movement into the witches' movement. That sounds hella cool. The Once and Future Witches is a powerful tale of defiant sisterhood and the right to vote, which, at a certain point, you're like, yeah, we've been able to vote. I've seen little shits online being like, we should when they see these maps, when it shows, I've seen all these variations of maps of, if only black voters voted, what would the, electoral system in Canada and the States look like? If only women voted, if only this generation. And without fail, there's some little bitch white boy who comments, we should take away women's rights to vote again. You sit the fuck down, sir. And lastly, I think, I also picked up The Boneshard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. This is her debut work. This is the Goldsboro copy. It has these sprayed edges there. It's so pretty. So pretty. Oh, the keys. I've heard some really, really positive reviews on this one. It also came with this print card here. I think it's supposed to be a trilogy. The Suke dynasty has ruled the Phoenix Empire for over a century, their mastery of bone shard magic powering the monstrous constructs that maintain law and order. But now the Emperor's rule is failing, and the revolution is sweeping across the Empire's many islands. Lynn is the Emperor's daughter, but a mysterious illness has stolen her childhood memories and her status as heir to the Empire. Trapped in a palace of locked doors and old secrets, Lynn vows to reclaim her birthright by mastering the forbidden art of Boneshard magic. But the mysteries behind such power are dark and deep, and wielding her family's magic carries a great cost. When the revolution reaches the gates of the palace itself, Lynn must decide how far she is willing to go to claim her throne and save her people. And it sounds like very the Poppy Wars-esque. Like, definitely not like everything from the Poppy Wars, but a lot of the, like, the world structures. It sounds, I heard that and I went, the Poppy Wars. So I'm very excited to read this. Very, very excited. So those are the books that I managed to limit myself to in the month of October, let's be real. Yeah, October was a mess for me in terms of reining things in. I didn't really buy any books that I'm not interested in reading. And honestly, all these books I have plans to read before, February or so. If you're interested in any of these books, I will link them in the description box down below. I will also link all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back. If you picked up any books this month, let me know. And at that, wear a mask, wash your hands, Black Lives Matter, and especially to the American people out there, I hope you're okay come whatever happens on, is it Tuesday? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? It's November 3rd, right? I don't know, it's scary watching your country just sharing a border, and I see how heartbroken some of you are. So I'm really sorry, and I hope everything with this election goes okay, and the time to count mail-in ballots and all that chaos. Best of luck.